Beyond the Gates spoilers full Saturday's update the 7th of February 2026. The gated calm of Fairmont Crest is about to be disturbed in ways that feel both intimate and dangerous, as several lives quietly cross invisible lines that cannot be uncrossed. What appears on the surface to be a series of romantic advances and polite gestures is in fact the early tremor of a deeper shift in power, trust, and emotional exposure. On Thursday's episode, every storyline seems to orbit the same unspoken question: what happens when desire overrides caution? And when gratitude binds people together more tightly than fear ever could? Vanessa McBride's decision to move in with Joey Armstrong is not born out of impulsive romance alone, even if she allows the world to believe that it is. To outsiders, it looks like a natural progression for a couple that has flirted with danger from the start, drawn together by mutual fascination and an undeniable physical pull. But beneath Vanessa's confident exterior lies a woman who has always understood that proximity is power. Living under Joey's roof means more than sharing space. It means access, observation, and a constant test of boundaries. Vanessa does not simply enter Joey's home as a guest or a lover. She infiltrates it with intention, reading the rhythms of his life, learning which doors stay locked and which secrets are guarded only by habit. Joey, for his part, welcomes her presence with a mix of pride and arrogance, convinced that his control over the world around him extends effortlessly into his personal life. He believes he knows the risks and has already calculated them, yet he underestimates the volatility of allowing someone like Vanessa so close to the core of his empire. Every shared morning and late-night encounter blurs the line between intimacy and exposure, and the closer Vanessa gets, the more dangerous her position becomes, not just because of Joey's enemies, but because of Joey himself. Living with a man whose influence is rooted in casinos, backroom deals, and carefully maintained loyalty structures places Vanessa in constant and seen jeopardy. Danger does not always announce itself through overt threats. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in the form of information overheard, alliances misunderstood, or trust extended one step too far. Vanessa may believe she can navigate this world with charm and intelligence, but Fairmont Crest has a way of punishing those who assume they are immune to its darker currents. The very act of sharing Joey's space could make her a target, a bargaining chip, or a liability in the eyes of people who operate far beyond the reach of romance. What makes her situation even more precarious is the possibility that Vanessa knows this and chooses to proceed anyway, driven by a mixture of ambition, curiosity, and the intoxicating belief that she can handle whatever comes next. While Vanessa embeds herself deeper into Joey's life, another unexpected bond quietly forms on the margins of his operation. Mona Wilson's gratitude toward Randy Parker is not an act of casual politeness. It is a calculated acknowledgement that recognizes the weight of favors in a world where nothing is ever truly free. Randy, long perceived as nothing more than Joey's loyal enforcer, exists in a moral gray area that few bother to explore. Mona's decision to thank him suggests that he has done more than simply follow orders. It implies an act of discretion, protection, or restraint that altered the course of events in ways she deeply understands. Their interaction hints at the possibility of an alliance that transcends traditional roles, challenging the assumption that people like Randy are incapable of loyalty that is not transactional. Yet this potential friendship is fraught with risk, because aligning oneself with someone so closely tied to Joey's inner circle inevitably draws attention. Mona may believe she is acknowledging a debt, but in doing so, she steps into a web of expectations that could demand repayment in ways she is not prepared to face. The idea that Mona and Randy could become allies, or even friends, disrupts the rigid social hierarchies that have long governed their world. It introduces uncertainty into a system that relies on predictability and obedience. Randy's response to Mona's gratitude may reveal more about his character than years of silent service ever could, exposing cracks in his loyalty or, conversely, deepening it in ways that complicate Joey's sense of control. In a place like Fairmont Crest, relationships are rarely isolated. They ripple outward, altering perceptions and shifting balances of power. What begins as a simple thank you could evolve into a connection that forces difficult choices when loyalties are tested and lines are drawn. Elsewhere in the city, far from the guarded entrances and whispered threats, a different kind of risk unfolds under the glow of uptown lights. Kyle Rollins and Nicole Dupree finally allow themselves to step into the open, sharing a moment that feels both liberating and dangerous. Their date, culminating in a passionate kiss at an uptown stand, is more than a romantic milestone. It is a declaration that neither is willing to remain hidden any longer. For Nicole, the moment carries the weight of defiance and vulnerability. She has spent so long balancing expectations, responsibilities, and the quiet scrutiny that comes with her name that choosing desire feels like an act of rebellion. Kyle, equally aware of the implications, leans into the moment with a confidence that masks the awareness of what this visibility could cost them both. Unbeknownst to them, or perhaps sensed but ignored, Ted Richardson occupies the worst possible vantage point, positioned to witness the intimacy they may have hoped would remain private. Ted's presence transforms the kiss from a personal choice into a public reckoning, one that threatens to unravel carefully maintained narratives. Watching Nicole with Kyle forces Ted to confront emotions he may have believed were buried, stirring jealousy, regret, and a sharp awareness of what he stands to lose. The pain of witnessing that moment does not simply bruise his pride, it challenges his understanding of his place in Nicole's life and exposes the fragility of relationships he assumed were secure. Ted's reaction, though unseen by the couple, adds a layer of tension that lingers long after the kiss ends. His knowledge becomes a silent weapon, one that could be used to protect, to manipulate, or to retaliate. In a community where information is currency, what Ted has witnessed holds immense power. Whether he chooses to act on it immediately or allow it to fester will shape not only his relationship with Nicole, but the broader dynamics within Fairmont Crest. The risk Kyle and Nicole take is not merely emotional. It is strategic, inviting scrutiny and judgment into a space they may not be equipped to defend. As these storylines unfold in parallel, a common thread emerges, the quiet erosion of boundaries. Vanessa crosses the threshold into Joey's home. Mona reaches across an invisible divide to acknowledge Randy, and Nicole steps into the open with Kyle, unaware of the eyes watching from the shadows. Each action feels small in isolation, yet together they signal a larger shift, one where personal desires challenge established power structures. The danger does not lie solely in what these characters do, but in what their choices reveal about their willingness to accept risk in pursuit of something more, whether that is love, security, or agency. Thursday's episode promises to be less about explosive confrontations and more about the slow tightening of tension, as characters move pieces into place without fully grasping the consequences. Vanessa's presence in Joey's home may offer comfort and excitement now, but it also places her squarely in the path of threats she cannot yet see. Mona's gratitude may humanize Randy in unexpected ways, but it also entangles her in obligations that could resurface at the worst possible moment. Nicole and Kyle's kiss, beautiful in its honesty, becomes a spark that could ignite conflict once Ted decides how to respond. In Fairmont Crest and beyond, nothing exists in a vacuum. Every step forward creates a shadow, and every moment of closeness carries the potential for exposure. As these characters push past the limits they once respected, the question is no longer whether consequences will come, but who will be strong enough to withstand them when they do. The gates may be closed, but the danger is already inside, waiting patiently for the moment when desire, gratitude, and jealousy collide. After everything that has already been tested, bent, and strained, the fragile equilibrium holding several relationships together in Fairmont Crest begins to crack under the weight of a single, devastating discovery. Shanice Johnson never intended to search for proof of betrayal, yet fate has a cruel way of placing evidence directly into the hands of those who fear it most. What she finds inside Ted's hotel room is not merely an object, but a symbol, one that instantly reframes her understanding of trust, loyalty, and the men she believed she knew. The sight of a woman's underwear, deliberately placed by Leslie Thomas with calculated malice, does not scream innocence or accident. Instead, it whispers doubt, planting a seed that threatens to grow into something uncontrollable. Shanice's reaction is not immediate hysteria, but something far more dangerous, quiet disbelief. Her mind races through every moment she has shared with Ted, replaying conversations, gestures, and promises, now tinted with suspicion. The cruelty of Leslie's scheme lies in its simplicity. It requires no explanation, no confrontation, only the certainty that appearances will do the work for her. Shanice understands how easily such a discovery could be dismissed as circumstantial, yet the emotional impact is undeniable. The hotel room becomes a psychological battleground where logic and fear wage war against each other. She is forced to confront a painful question. Does she trust Ted enough to believe in his innocence, or does this discovery confirm a truth she has been subconsciously avoiding? The horror of the moment is amplified by the realization that Leslie did not act impulsively. This was not a careless mistake, but a deliberate attempt to fracture Shanice's sense of security. Leslie's absence from the room makes her presence even more oppressive, as if she is standing just out of sight, watching the damage unfold exactly as planned. Shanice senses this manipulation, yet awareness does not lessen its effect. Even if she suspects a setup, the image lingers, haunting her thoughts and eroding her confidence. Trust, once shaken, rarely returns to its original form, and Shanice knows that whether Ted is guilty or innocent, something fundamental has already been altered. Ted, unaware of the storm brewing, remains dangerously exposed to the consequences of Leslie's deception. His innocence, if real, offers little protection against perception, especially in a world where reputations are currency and rumors spread faster than truth. Shanice's internal conflict becomes the true center of the crisis. She grapples with the possibility that confronting Ted could either restore clarity or irrevocably destroy what remains between them. The choice before her is agonizing: believe in the man she loves and risk appearing naive, or accept the evidence before her eyes and risk condemning an innocent partner. Leslie's trap succeeds not because it proves infidelity, but because it forces Shanice to question her own judgment. While Shanice faces betrayal in its most intimate form, another confrontation unfolds in a far more public arena, where power and pride collide without restraint. Anita Dupree, accustomed to commanding respect through presence alone, finds herself targeted by Anastasia, the notorious gossip merchant of the country club. Anastasia's commentary on Anita's new appearance is thinly veiled, dripping with condescension disguised as curiosity. What Anastasia underestimates is Anita's refusal to tolerate disrespect, especially from someone whose influence is built on whispers rather than substance. Anita's response is swift and unapologetic, a reminder that she did not build her legacy by remaining silent in the face of provocation. The confrontation becomes a spectacle, drawing attention not because of raised voices, but because of the unmistakable authority Anita exudes. She does not simply defend her appearance, she defends her right to evolve, to reclaim her space, and to exist beyond the narratives others attempt to impose upon her. Anastasia, accustomed to operating without consequence, is confronted with a force she cannot easily dismiss or manipulate. The encounter exposes the fragile foundation of Anastasia's power, which relies entirely on the assumption that no one will challenge her openly. This clash at the country club resonates far beyond the immediate participants. It sends a clear message throughout Fairmont Crest that Anita Dupree remains a formidable presence, and willing to be diminished by gossip or superficial judgment. Her confrontation with Anastasia is not merely personal, it is symbolic, reinforcing her position within a social hierarchy that often punishes vulnerability. Anita's willingness to confront ridicule head-on reasserts her dominance, reminding onlookers that strength does not fade with change, and that reputation, once defended, can emerge even stronger. As these parallel storylines unfold, a deeper theme emerges, one rooted in the destructive power of perception. Shanice's discovery forces her to confront how easily belief can be manipulated, while Anita's confrontation illustrates the necessity of reclaiming narrative control. Both women face challenges that threaten their sense of self, yet their responses diverge in telling ways. Shanice turns inward, wrestling with doubt and fear, while Anita steps outward, confronting her adversary with unwavering resolve. Together, their experiences paint a portrait of women navigating a world where appearances are weaponized and truth is often obscured by intention. Leslie's manipulation and Anastasia's gossip serve as reminders that danger and Fairmont Crest rarely arrives in obvious forms. It lurks in carefully staged moments and casual remarks, eroding trust and testing resilience. The contrast between Shanice's quiet devastation and Anita's public defiance underscores the varied ways individuals respond to attack, shaped by experience, power, and the stakes involved. Shanice risks losing love and stability, while Anita risks nothing less than her legacy. By the end of this chapter, no resolution is offered, only tension sharpened to a breaking point. Shanice must decide whether to confront Ted, to investigate further, or to retreat into suspicion, each choice carrying consequences she cannot yet predict. Anita's clash with Anastasia may have ended in victory, but it also ensures that she has drawn renewed attention, inviting retaliation from those who thrive on resentment. In a community built on image and influence, every action reverberates, and every silence speaks volumes. What remains clear is that the gates of Fairmont Crest cannot shield its residents from the fallout of deception and confrontation. Whether hidden in a hotel room or displayed in the open halls of a country club, truth demands to be faced, and the cost of facing it is rarely small. As Shanice stands at the crossroads of trust and doubt, and Anita reclaims her authority in the face of gossip, the question lingers, in a world where appearances are crafted and intentions concealed. Who will emerge unscathed when everything hidden finally comes to light?